Ready? Meeting order. And will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Allen.
Present.
Councilmember Hagenow.
Present.
Councilmember Kerr. Here. Councilmember Martin.
Present.
Councilmember Parmet.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Here.
Mayor Riley.
Present.
There are 7 members present.
Thank you. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this point, I'd like to recognize our Mayor Pro Tem Sullivan.
Yes, today's Veterans Day. It's people, that are really committed, given service. I'm just so proud that we have 3 members on our council that are veterans. And I want to call out Councilman Carol Kerr, and Ken Riley, and our newest J. Ron Allen. All 3 not only provided service to our society, but now they are here again giving service to our community. So I want to give them a round of applause. Thank you. Cincinnatus.
And thank you very much. I think the 3 of us appreciate it. The next item is approval of the agenda. If anyone has anything they'd like to have removed from the agenda, you can make a motion, or we can have a motion to approve the agenda. Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. We now have communications to council. And again, encouraging anyone who would like to speak to council to come forward. We will have, I want to point out that one of our agenda items is the purchase of this building and the land around it on a lease purchase agreement. We are going to have, contrary to what's exactly in the agenda, an opportunity for the public to speak on that when we get into that budget item. But if you'd like to speak early, you're more than welcome to as well. And if you'd like to speak, please step forward, step up to the podium, state your name, where you live, work, or your connection to Keystone, and you have 3 minutes for any topic. And I don't recognize Councilmember Hagenow to speak before the council. He gets more than enough opportunity. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak?
Is the mic here?
See up right here.
Oh, okay. Larry Press, Hidden River Lodge, Keystone. So over the summer, CDOT had this program because in the work zones, they had a bunch of injuries and fatalities. So they put cameras up to slow people down. So we got, people going 60 on here pretty regularly. The Keystone cops have been slowing them down. They're pretty sneaky. I've seen it pipe down. But I'm just wondering what it's going to take to, slow it down like the other towns. Frisco, Silverthorne are 35. You can't really go too fast in Breckenridge. But so I think CDOT's on board. If this is their road, and they've got a whole program statewide to slow, things down, they would support us taking the speed limit down to 35. Because ski season's coming up, and hopefully next year we can put in 2 more stoplights, one at the fire station where there's one there, and then one at Razor, because I think that's probably one of the most unsafe parts of the road in Summit County, intersections. You got gas trucks hot off the mountain. You got tons of skiers, 4 HOAs, a hotel. no real stoplight, you're kind of risking your life. Okay, there's big light post here in the way, there's a bunch of families with skis and stuff, and then, okay, can I make the left? And, oh, I didn't see that car, its lights are out. So maybe a schedule for next year, putting in 2 more lights, that'll help slow everybody down. I know right across where I live at the fire station, everybody fills up well, it's right here. You know, the parking lots right there. So there's hundreds of people with skis just walking across the road. They walk down my driveway now. You could put like we were looking at the master plan, I was talking with the guy, but right just to east of Clearwater, there's a walking path now, and they all go to just east of the fire station. So that's the path to get, and it's already a footpath. So just cement that in, and people can use the bus to get to the mountain. So, because everybody just walks across the road, you know, they got ski boots on, gear, something's going to happen. And people going 60, if you drop the speed limit down to 35, they'll be going 40, and it takes about half as long to stop. So it's a lot more safe. So hopefully that's in the works. I mean, it can't cost that much to buy 35-mile-per-hour speed limit signs, right? Yeah.
Very, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate your time. And I'll ask the town manager to please get with him later and address some of his concerns and challenges. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Is there anyone online who would like to speak? No? Okay. All right, with that, I'll declare the communications to council complete. And we now go into the consent agenda. Does anyone desire to remove anything from the consent agenda? Does anyone, will someone please give me a motion to approve it?
I move to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? In that case,
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
yes.
The AP list was noted as being sent to us directly for confidentiality reasons. Has that always been the case, or? Okay.
What happened is there have been towns in the past that have published their AP list prior to approval. Scammers identify that, and this way the checks go out tomorrow morning before someone can call and say, oh, we've changed our mailing address.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know of at least one case of a town in eastern Colorado that got scammed by about $5 million. Not inconsequential. All right. Next item is our series of budget hearings. We're going to set records tonight on the number.
We didn't take a vote on them.
I'm sorry. I got distracted. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Now, moving on, we're about to enter into a whole group of public hearings. We have a couple on the budget, on budgets, and then we have several more regarding on second readings of ordinances. So please bear with us this evening, and we'll have lots of opportunity for a public input to us. The first one that we have has to do with the supplemental budget, and I'd ask the clerk to please read the title into the record.
Public hearing on the 2025 supplemental budget request.
This evening, in the order indicated, we will first declare the public hearing open. We will announce the procedures, which are basically, we'll have this public hearing regarding the supplemental budget for 2025. The council is going to listen to anyone's comments and consider them in our deliberations. However, we will not respond to the comments during the public hearing. The following are the procedures. We'll first hear the report from the town manager, then we'll take the public comment on the supplemental budget. Again, limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and again, the same instructions laying it behind the podium. And when it's your turn to speak, say your name and where you live, own, or work in Keystone. And again, we won't make any direct response to comments, but we will consider those. At this point, I'd like to ask the town manager for a introductory presentation on the supplemental budget.
Okay, so supplemental budgets are not that unusual a thing, especially in new towns. I think the important thing to do is keep your eye on the bottom line of our fund balances at the end of the fiscal year. This supplemental budget was really driven by two major things and a lot of little minor things. The two major things were I'll go even further. If you don't, revenue does not have to be budgeted. We have revenue in our budgets because it only makes sense, but it's the spending that the state is concerned about. So we didn't change, even though our revenue was different. That's not changed in the supplemental budget. Our revenue is above projections. It's our expenditures that have to change. We're only allowed to spend what has been budgeted for. We've had two relatively large increases, a couple $100,000 each. One was our road construction. That's our sidewalk and the ranch road. And the other was our police funding, because we had the sheriff's department and the police department for a little while operating. And based on the instruction of our auditor, our original budget had all of our public safety split between our general fund and our lodging tax fund. Our auditor wanted to see that in one single fund. So we are making a transfer from the general fund to the lodging tax fund to pay for our public safety. We're still projecting a very healthy ending fund balances. Our ending fund balance in the general fund is going up approximately $875,000 over what we have projected. We had projected a $2,127,000 ending fund balance. Now we're projecting just over $3 million. Lodging tax fund ending balance went down $200,000 because with the transfer, we just tightened all of that up to our actual numbers. There were some miscalculations in the capital outlay and in the way the police department works. So $762,000 transfer from the general fund into the lodging tax fund. Housing fund, we saw a slight decrease in our final fund balance there. We've instituted our expenditures are higher. We instituted a employee down payment assistance program earlier in the year. And conservation trust fund balance did not change at all. We didn't spend anything out of it. And our projected income in it was pretty close to what we're seeing. So these are all items that we've discussed in town council meetings. None of this should come as a surprise. It's really just a matter of two things. As I said, accounting for some added costs, especially in the sidewalk construction, and dealing with our transfers on how we're paying for public safety is the biggest issue. So other than that, it's pretty straightforward, I feel.
Before I open it up for everyone's questions, I just want to clarify the expenses from the appropriations. We're talking about how much we've appropriated to expend by the fund level, and it's controlled. Am I correct? That it's controlled at the fund level, not the individual line items below the fund.
Correct. although you should know the,
Understand, but the reason for the supplemental is really to get the appropriation level at the right level.
correct. The state cares about the fund level.
So is there any council member taking out?
Thank you. To me, this sounds like all things that we voted and talked about previously. I'm just more curious from a procedural perspective. This seems like the cart before the horse kind of thing. What happens if we don't approve this? I mean, the sidewalk is built.
A government shutdown. No. If we don't approve it, we're in trouble with the state because we will spend outside our,
So yeah, okay, we're basically just aligning what we've actually spent and approved previously.
correct. And rather than doing supplemental budgets every time there's a slight change in the spending, it's just a much more efficient practice to wait towards the end of the year and try to wrap it all up into one supplemental budget. This requires a public hearing. It requires actions like that. So in efficiency, rather than when we knew the increased cost of the roads, we waited to see if there was something else that would pop up too.
Any other questions?
May I offer a motion?
Yes, you may.
I move.
No, you.
No.
No.
This, actually, we don't
You may
take
not.
action today. This is just a budget public hearing.
It's a budget public hearing.
You will approve the supplemental at the next meeting we have.
Is there any other questions for staff? All right, now I'll open the floor to public comment. If anyone again would like to speak, I won't go over the procedures again of speaking. We've covered that twice so far. But please step up to the podium. I don't see anyone in this room. Is there anyone online who would like to speak? No one online? In that case, does council have any additional questions for staff? No? In that case, I'll declare the public hearing closed and then open it for any discussions you'd like to have. Any further discussions the council may have with staff? None? All right, then we'll move on to the next time. I believe that's all we need to do. Am I correct, Madam Attorney?
Yes.
We'll now move on to the next item, which is the public hearing on the proposed budget for 2026. And again, we'll be taking public comment on it, just like we've done for the supplemental budget. And I'll ask now for the clerk to please read the title, subject matter into the record.
A public hearing on the town of Keystone's proposed budget for fiscal year 2026.
And we will be following the same procedures which we did for the supplemental budget public hearing. And with that, Mr. Town Manager, could you please give us a introductory presentation?
Okay, so there have been no changes to the budget since our workshop when we last discussed it. This is the public hearing over the budget. Public has the ability to make comments on the budget up until the moment it is approved. The budget resolutions are approved by this board at our next meeting. This would be a much better time if there were public comments so that we could incorporate them rather than at the last second. Our general fund, and I'm going to read what's on the paper for the public here. We're anticipating revenues, and I want to point out to the board again that our finance director and my approach to budgets is to attempt to underestimate revenue and overestimate expenses. Just because expenses are in a budget does not mean they have to be spent. We are not in a position where, like some corporations, if you don't spend your share of the budget, you lose it the next year. That's not how we react. Our idea is to be as fiscally prudent as we can with the taxpayers' money in our budget when we actually do the expenditures and the savings. this budget represents a divergence from our previous budgets. We are not anticipating as much of a surplus in this current budget because we are still budgeting significant amounts for capital improvements. But we have also budgeted money to make the purchase of this building. So for 6 years, that's approximately $500,000 a year, a little over that we'll be spending on the purchase of this if the council approves the purchase of this building. We're projecting 4.674 million in revenue in the general fund with expenditures of 4.506. Lodging tax fund, we're expecting revenues of 2,408,000 and projected expenditures of 2.369. Housing fund, projected revenues of 995,878. That number is from the Housing Authority. And expenditures of 398,725. Most of those expenditures this year will be going to developing the housing plan, developing plans for this property if we go ahead with the purchase on that. And the Conservation Trust Fund, minimal revenues of 10,300 and no expenditures at that point. We'll just bank it till we build a playground or a park somewhere.
One quick question as you're going through the fund balances. I see the lodging tax revenue at 2.4 million roughly. Am I correct that that 2.4 million is driven by the transfer of general fund monies over to the lodging tax?
Yes.
So our total revenues in the town are actually less than what we see here by the amount of that transfer between the general fund and.
That's a very good point. Our actual expected revenue from the lodging tax is closer to $1.6 million. And the rest represents a transfer from the general fund to pay for public safety. So our revenues are slightly deceptive because there's a large expenditure in the general fund that shows up as revenue in the lodging tax fund. Are there any, this is a public hearing, we'll approve a resolution approving the funds at our next meeting, several resolutions.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you. Could you spell out where the financial outlay for the purchase of the building would come from and why it's from that fund? Or
I believe it is, we have, the down payment is budgeted this year out of the housing fund because this comes with 6 acres of buildable land, one of the last large parcels in the town of Keystone. And it is the town's plan at this point, council's discussed quite a bit that we can use this land for workforce housing development on this parcel. If for some reason that whole plan falls through, that money will be returned to the housing fund out of the general fund. That housing fund must be used for the building and creation of housing. The first thing, which is finding a place to build it on.
how does that, if I might ask a follow-up question, how does that work? Does it 5 years from now, we haven't built, is there a time threshold? Is there a, my good memory is the way we determine if it comes back or not?
No, there is no time threshold. It is counted in the books, and our finance director will always see that this property has an obligation to build housing on if we use those funds. So it can't just disappear into the memories of council members.
Am I also correct that if we were to, prior to completing the purchase, actually segment the property into 2 different parcels, then that land would then be designated for as a workforce housing deed restricted?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really our plan, is to separate the the parking lot and the building and any other small incidental parcels the council might feel, access to the trail, making sure we keep our trailheads and such, but segmenting it and then creating some sort of mechanism for ownership of the rest of the land, whether it's just a separate fund. The land showing up as a capital in our housing fund, the way our roads show up as capital in the general fund. By doing that, we'd have much better opportunity to receive matching grant funds to help pay for the land banking. That's something Prop 123 is very, when they had money, were very helpful on, was making land purchases for housing.
And so if I'm hearing you correctly, we're basically saying that of the total purchase price of the building, we're saying that we can use housing fund dollars for this because of an anticipated use of some of the land for housing. Now, was there an audit or was there an appraisal saying that the land that we're going to bank is worth at least $600,000?
1.2 million on our appraisal. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so the idea beyond the 600,000 is we could get a matching grant to pay for it. Going forward, the yearly payments for 6 years, I believe are coming out of they're coming out of the general fund, but under the unique, I can't remember, it was how we titled that, capital non-routine projects.
Where's that again?
No, that's not in there. Where did we put that then?
That's
Yes, it is. Capital debt service. There we go.
debt service.
Under debt service.
And under debt service in what fund?
It's under the general fund.
Page 7.
In the future,
So line 193 on the spreadsheet. And those will be our 6-year annual payments. So it's a lease purchase.
Is there anything from keeping us in the future from using the housing fund for those payments?
Just the value of the property, because the property is appraised at 1.2 million.
You shouldn't spend more than that.
We shouldn't, especially if we want to try to get a matching grant out of it. And we can afford it out of our general fund, even though we are still sticking a sufficient amount of money into roads and infrastructure repair, pathways.
Thank you very much.
other questions? Seeing none, I'll ask the public if anyone would like to make any comments on the 2026 budget. Is there anyone? I don't see anyone in the room standing up to speak. Is there anyone online?
No.
All right. At that point, does this council have any other discussion they'd like to have with the town manager? I'll declare the public hearing closed and ask that, again, since we do not have to have a motion to approve anything tonight, that we'll move on to the next agenda item at this point. And the next agenda item is an item having to do with the write-in candidates of potential cancellation of elections. And for that, I'll turn it over to the town manager.
And I am going to turn this directly over to our clerk of the year, Madeline Civillo, and our town attorney, Jennifer Manson.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor, Town Council. My name is Madeline Cielu. I am the town clerk. Ordinance 2025-0-19 is in reference to the treatment of write-in candidates as well as the potential cancellation of elections. So under our charter, it indicates that special elections and regular town elections shall be governed by the Colorado Municipal Election Code. And as such, the municipal election code indicates that elections may be canceled if the body adopts an ordinance that dictates the requirements for write-in candidates and also allows for the cancellation of an election. So passage of this ordinance would result in the ability to potentially cancel an election, but would not require the town council to do so. So there are two components to this. The first section is in relation to write-in candidates. So this would require write-in candidates to have an affidavit of intent filed with the town clerk no later than 64 days prior to the election. This timeline is in alignment with the timeline for other candidates as well, as they are required to submit their initial nominating petitions on the 71 days prior to the election and cure those petitions 64 days prior to the election if they need to make corrections to those petitions. A reason why you would require an affidavit of intent is that it ensures that only individuals who genuinely wish to seek office and are qualified to serve are recognized as candidates. This would prevent frivolous or surprise write-ins, and it also allows us to determine the list of eligible candidates and a date by which that list is final. In this case, that would be February 2nd of 2026. And then the second part of this ordinance details what we would do or what would allow us to potentially cancel an election. So if the same number of candidates run for office as the number of offices available, it is possible for the town council to consider canceling the election. And the proposed ordinance writes out the provisions for this. So at that time, if we determined that the same number of candidates, including those who had submitted an affidavit of intent as write-in candidates, were running for office as the number of seats available. So if 4 people were identified as potential candidates for office, and there are 4 seats available in 2026, then town council would have the opportunity to consider canceling the election. At the last meeting during the work session, town council discussed the fact that there are staggered terms coming up in the next election and that this is a circumstance that could happen again in the future. So this proposed ordinance also details a fair and transparent process for the town council to do this, and establishes it through the ordinance itself. And this is detailed as a public drawing of lots to assign 4-year and 2-year terms among the declared elected candidates. So essentially, if we identified 4 candidates as running for election and there are only 4 seats and the council decided that they wanted to cancel the election, with the ordinance as it is written right now, we would use a public drawing of lots to assign the 4- and 2-year terms amongst the candidates. There are alternative ways that the council could handle this, and these alternatives are written out in the alternative section for you to consider. But based off of the conversation at work session, that was the general staff direction that we started with. And I'm open to any questions or feedback.
Questions? Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to confirm, and I know that we had talked about this during the work session. This is a tool in our toolbox. It's not a requirement to cancel an election.
Right. After the ordinance is passed, the election would not automatically be canceled just because there were only 4 candidates running for the next election. The town council would at that time need to pass a resolution directing the town clerk to cancel the election.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So in your examples, when you're talking about 4 seats, if there were 4 nominations received and cured by 64 date, and only 4 for the available seats, the town council can decide to cancel it. At what point do write-in candidates get to say, oh, add me to the list?
So under this ordinance, write-in candidates would need to declare their intent by that 64 days.
Same date, right?
Yes.
So if we had the original 4 that were cured, and suddenly 2 other people say, I'd like to be a write-in, now there are 6 candidates.
Yes, they would do that before the 64-day period, and we would not consider canceling the election
Okay, that's
until
what I'm looking
after that 64-day period is up.
Okay, but if you had 6 candidates for 4 positions, there would be no need to do so, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion then to approve the first reading of ordinance 2025-0-19 regarding write-in candidates and the cancellation of elections?
So moved.
Point of order.
Yes?
So if we're looking at one of these potential amendment languages, at what point do we identify that?
You would have,
You could do it today.
we could, well, you should do it today.
Next 5 minutes, is it before we vote, during,
No,
after
if
there's a
you
second
have a
one?
motion on the table, then you can either do a friendly amendment or a motion to amend.
Right.
Okay. We don't have a second yet though, right?
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or amendments?
Okay, I move to amend ordinance 2025-0- no numbers identified yet,
Yes, it is, 19.
not in what I'm reading here, sorry, 19.
19.
Striking section 2A1, terms of office, and adding language to the end of section 2A that provides if 4 or more council members are to be filled at an election, the election shall not be canceled.
Just to clarify, you said 21A? Is that affected section that you're talking about?
2A1.
2A. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Mind if we get to that area? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
While you're getting to the area, let me ask the attorney a question.
Yes.
The way the ordinance is currently written, we couldn't, if we had more than 4 declared, or less, if we had more than 4 declared, the council doesn't have the authority, according to this ordinance already, to cancel the election. Am I right?
No. Council can cancel an election if you have 4 open seats.
No, I'm talking about if we had 6 open seats, which council member,
No, the actual language is if 4 or more council member seats are to be filled at an election, the election shall not be canceled.
So what this does is it takes care of a situation where you would have staggered terms. And so that's what the amendment does, is says that if there's an election with 4 seats, you cannot cancel even if you only have 4 people running.
oh,
Why?
Because of the staggered.
We can discuss.
we address the staggered,
Right, but the intent I'm thinking that Councilmember Kerr is trying to solve for is that let's have the voters decide staggered terms.
You have a second so we can have this discussion?
is there a second? I guess I'm confused on the language, but is there a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded, so we
So rather
can,
than trying to interpret what my thoughts,
yeah, what is?
that is consideration.
What is,
Bottom line is, if the majority, this is talking about the majority of council, not be elected, but be appointed by, is it the old council or the 3 members that are continuing?
Well, I think what the resolution does to cancel the election is say that we don't want to spend the cost of an election. And so it seems that these 4 people are going to have the council member seat. And there isn't a reason necessarily to go through the election. That's why there would be the cancellation.
So the alternative that you have proposed as a possibility, and I've just moved to amend, essentially says if the majority of the council seats are going to be up for discussion, we think the voters should have an opportunity to address council membership rather than merely letting the three remaining appoint.
No.
Well, help me out, help me understand.
Okay, so if you have
are budgeted for the year. Additional rents are what Mayor Gerson talked about related to insurance, the utilities, those items. That's going to be, a budget's going to be provided to the town at the beginning of the year. You'll pay that on a monthly basis. And the way it's drafted right now is the reconciliation will be in December. There's going to be a change that reconciliation will be in January. That's very minor. There also is going to be a change likely related to any type of casualty event. The Keystone Center, if there was a significant casualty event that would destroy the building such that you would need to rebuild, the Keystone Center's position is that we don't want to spend the time and effort rebuilding. And so what we would do in that situation is sign over those proceeds, insurance proceeds to the town, and the town could then rebuild. So that's something that we'll have to work through in the draft before we give it back to you. And a couple of other minor things, and any changes will be spelled out in the staff report and in the discussion when we bring it back at second reading.
You provide us with the rationale, given that we have a couple of areas that probably aren't major, but are going to change the lease, why we would proceed to approve it at first reading now instead of, say, doing the first reading at the next council meeting, which will probably be first week of December.
Well, because this type of contract needs to be approved by ordinance, and that's set out in your charter. That it has to be approved by ordinance, and in the charter, you have 2 readings for your ordinance. So we have it set on first reading tonight, then the next council meeting is going to be in December. Ordinances are not effective until it's 30 days after publication. So what we're trying to do is back into a February 1 effective date for the lease. And in order to do that, it has to be approved in December.
Mr. Hagan, thank you. Could you talk through the insurance proceeds and that process specifically, right? And I guess I'm just traumatized from a vehicle experience I had. But let's say the building cost $10 million to rebuild in 2 years. Insurance policy is for $4 million.
Well, we will make sure that the insurance proceeds cover reconstruction of the building if the building is, that will be in the contract, that they have to have insurance that would cover that ability to rebuild.
Okay.
Other questions? Hearing no other questions, I'm then going to now going to open the floor for comment by public, if you'd like to speak. Again, following the same procedure. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak? Is there anyone online who would like to speak? No?
Mr. Mayor, point of order, I noticed that bikes were red for a little bit. Do we know from the town staff, all of that conversation was heard that, this in particular is not an issue with a lot of constituents. I wanted to check in on that. And talk about it.
Did you notice it was read during this conversation?
Yeah.
That is correct. There was a mic blip and now we are recording. So the recording is active.
What line we missed?
One second, I'm just pulling up the transcript.
Our attorney was talking, over town manager was introducing.
Well, to be honest, I was comment, and I just wanting the audio was turned off. Turn audio on.
So the transcript does go back all the way for this portion of the meeting. We were having issues during the previous discussion of the previous ordinance. These mics going red are because we're now
years.
So is there, does staff believe that through one of the microphone interfaces, whether computers or Skypes, that the conversation was picked up and if somebody wanted to view the recording later, they'd have a good understanding or understand what we talked about?
In relation to the building discussion of this work.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions for staff? In that case, the public hearing portion closed. And now we need to vote on whether to approve the first reading of the discussion.
Yeah.
It's open for discussion.
Oh.
I was part of this, unlike the actual have to. That's another curve.
Open for discussion, yes. I just want to bring forward a few pertinent facts that were mentioned during the session. One, that the board get $1.4 million, $4.1 million purchase price is exactly what was assessed by a third-party independent agency. Yeah, what was appraised by a third-party independent agency. Yes.
This is what they appraise the building and the land.
That was my second point. Talking about both this building, which is 30+ years old, and 5 acres of land.
And all the furniture.
Okay,
Furnishings.
just want to be clear about what we're talking about. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I move to approve ordinance 2025-020, ordinance of the town council of Keystone, Colorado, approved a lease and purchase agreement for that certain real property known as 1829 section 1620. Oh, sorry. Someone.
In 20,
Yes.
Now, is there any discussion or debate?
Well, I will throw in a comment. That's, I think that it's awesome to see us forward this. Any conversation about this. Part of the staff report talked about a permanent, more established location for the town offices. I truly think that that's more going to benefit to other support systems and other stakeholders, not just.
Any other comments? One comment I have is, I'm not always excited about the opportunity to purchase a building which remarkably is set up for a town hall, unlike any other town hall in certainly in Suffolk County. But I'm equally excited about the opportunity to pick up the additional acreage associated with this. So that acreage provides us an opportunity to start looking at having a lot of possibilities to exclude doing something for a community center or incentive for the community. We can also include workforce housing, and as the town manager indicated, this is the only large parcel really left in Keystone that's not in the PUD that is available that we could turn what could have been residential into workforce housing. And I think that gives us tremendous potential and tremendous options for the future, particularly when we consider housing needs for our community and the growth of those housing needs to support the residents and the workers. So I strongly support this. Again, any other comments from anyone? With that, I'll call the question and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Kern. Approve. Councilmember Martin.
Approve.
Councilmember Corman.
Approve.
Councilmember Sullivan. Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Hagnon. Mayor Riley.
Approve.
There are 7 votes to approve.
All right, the next item is the second reading of ordinance 2025-0-16, the ordinance of Town Council of Keystone amending ordinance 2024-5 regarding land use code and related to macromanagement. And repealing the temporary moratorium on same. And with that, I'd ask to please read the title into the record.
Ordinance 2025-0-16, an ordinance of Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado. Ordinance 4-0-05, Town of Keystone Land Use Code, adopting regulations for natural medicine uses, repealing the temporary moratorium.
Thank you. And at this council meeting, we're going to have the public hearing and second reading of the ordinance relating to natural medicine uses. And the council will listen to any comments the public would like to make and consider them in the deliberation. We'll be following the same procedure that we follow to the other public comments. And again, first, we will have an introductory presentation by the town manager. With that, the town manager.
And I will allow our town attorney, Jennifer Madsen, our community development director. Let's see her.
So I think we'll likely tag team this. Basically, we talked about this at a work session and garnered some very good input from council. Actually, we also went to planning and zoning as well. Then the first reading, we got some more input from town council. So Jennifer did the lion's share with regards to the verbiage of the ordinance itself. And if you have any questions regarding the ordinance itself, she could probably field that. I'd like to, if there are any land use related questions and how it works from a zoning perspective, I'd be glad to field those questions. So again, we bear this one pretty good.
Just one quick question, and I'll turn it over to the rest of the council. Of the assessment approved by the planning and zoning commission.
Recommended, yes.
Recommended approval. Does council have any questions to say? Councilmember Hayden.
Thank you. One of the constituents from the area have been wanting some clarification on patient use. So would you be able to, in layman's terms and realistic terms, explain where this would? I know B1, right? But what does B1 mean?
We are amending the zoning code to allow this use in the B1 zoning district. There are several properties located within the town limits that are zoned B1. With the ordinance, there is specific limitations with regards to proximity to other uses that will dictate the uses, or where it can go. I don't have a future ball on, or future crystal ball, thank you.
I do.
On where what's going to happen in the future, but right now, we will be meeting state statute requirements by allowing the use. And I believe that the first reading, we identified a piece of property that would most definitely be able to accommodate it, so chosen. And that would be the Christie Sports Snake River Saloon property. That's not to say that other B1 properties in the future, as things change, could accommodate it. But as of right now, that would most likely be the most likely property to if the property owner wanted to use to be utilized for it.
And so just to be crystal clear, right, I'm looking at this map and it appears the gateway.
That is correct.
But according to some restrictions within the proposal, the DOA only has essentially, it would not be able to be paid for this purpose.
That is correct.
And that would apply for other condominium owners that may or may not.
That is, well, it has to be B1.
Yeah, but.
Oh, approximately, yes.
As long as there's still residential use on the property, pretty much property.
Perfect. And even if, am I correct, that even if there's residential use on the adjacent property within the distance, that we still allow anywhere. We've taken some measurements and done some analysis with the rest of the various parcels and put it in place of I've stated on the right.
Thank you.
And we're able to At that point, I'll open the floor to public comment. And again, if you'd like to make a comment, please step up to the podium. To state your name, where you live for work, or your connection to Keystone. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The council will listen to the comments taken into consideration going into deliberations. But we will not respond directly to your comments. So is there anyone who would like to speak in the audience? Is there anyone online who would like to speak? In that case, I will declare the public comment period closed and the public hearing closed. And now the county will go into deliberation and a decision. So, any comments anyone would like to make, or someone could make a motion? Councilmember Kerr.
I want to thank. I don't want to thank you. Planning and zoning, planning and zoning commission, let's see. And check this out. But notice, we've followed this fairly closely over several meetings, but we're just going to point out that the state of Colorado took responsibility regulating natural medicine and for licensing natural medicine facilitators. They reserve the right to the municipalities for actual locations that would be acceptable zoning. And I think this meets state and local and public concerns within the space we're left.
And if we did not adopt it, then the locations within our community for the natural medicine establishment like they establish grows tremendously. Is there any other discussion? Can I have a motion then?
The motion came.
That's what we're doing now.
I would offer to approve ordinance 2025-0-16, an ordinance of town council of town of Keystone, Colorado, amending ordinance 5, town of Keystone land use code adopting regulations related to natural medicine use code, adoption regulations to that. Wow. Adopting regulations related to natural medicine use, repealing the temporary moratorium related to the.
Is there a second?
Well done.
Second. Second. Any discussion or debate? In that case, I'll call for a vote, and will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Martin,
Approved.
Councilmember Farman,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan, Councilmember Allen, Councilmember Hagnow, Councilmember Kerr, approved, Mayor Ryan. There are 7 votes to approve.
Thank you. The next item is the second reading of ordinance 2025 O-18. And with that, I'll turn it over to the town clerk to read the title, subject matter, and the record.
2025-0-18, an ordinance of town council of the town of Keystone, Colorado, amending ordinance number 2025-0-06, adopted March 11th, 2025, to modify section 3 regarding the definition of wildlife.
Again, at this council meeting, they're going to be, now I'm opening the public hearing on the second reading of this ordinance and addressing wildlife refuge containers. And if you have comments to make, when it comes to the public comment period, again, the council will listen to your comments, consider them in our deliberations. We will not respond directly to your comments. And at this point, can I have an introduction by the town manager?
Okay, this is the second reading example of how town governments must evolve. This is changing our recently adopted bear-proof refuse ordinance. After discussions with Parks and Wildlife regarding the grant they're going to be giving us to help implement our wildlife-proof refuse ordinance. They recommended some changes, brought them to the council. One change council wanted to see was the definition of a wildlife-proof refuse container, including the requirement, or including the certification agency or the interagency grizzly bear committee, which is actually a much more serious organization than it sounds like. It's made up of BLM, Forest Service, National Park Service agencies, and they actually use grizzly bears to test garbage cans, including the interagency grizzly bear committee is a certification authority, and taking out the language that generally gave the town manager the okay to judge something as a wildlife-proof refuse container. It's above my knowledge level, and it's much better that we just require a certified container from this situation. And that's the only change to the ordinance at this point.
Does council have any questions? Councilor Hayden.
This designation, right, does not limit the products to a single provider or small provider, right?
No, any provider can request certification from the interagency grizzly bear committee, and actually on their website, they have a large list of various manufacturers that produce such containers.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I will now open the floor for public comment. And again, the same procedures for will follow this as other public comment periods. Again, first the offer to anyone in the audience who would like to speak. And then I'll ask the clerk, is anyone, if you're online, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak. And I'll ask the clerk, has anyone raised their hand?
Not at this time.
It's not at this time. All right. In that case, I'll come back to council of one last chance to ask questions of staff as part of the public hearing. Councilman Phillips.
Yeah, originally in one of the drafts, we talked about a little bit more discretion for the town here. Not particularly trash can, like some of the dumpster closures. Have we limited that with this draft?
No, right? No, we have not limited that. I still have discretion to grant waivers to people who find it impossible to do a dumpster enclosure, given the the situation on the ground or to give temporary waivers to businesses that might have need more time to get a fair.
Thank you.
Any other questions, staff? In that case, I will declare, I will close the public hearing and will now enter deliberations aimed at making a decision. Does anyone have anything you'd like to say or make a motion? Councilmember Hayden.
Thank you. I just think that, and the manager was correct going through the list, of approved products here. I think that it really allows a lot of flexibility, with our residents. Their needs are awesome. Right, you know, so reducing, a lot of the conflict. So, thank you. To this. Ordinance.
A quick comment. I'd like to underscore what town manager said about how when situation changes, we have to change the policy. I appreciate that. The situation changed. You made contacts that got us the grants that will pay for some of these. So, thank you.
Any other comments? Anyone would like to make a motion? Councilmember Kirk.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-18, amending the fair. Thank you.
Any other comments? Anyone would like to make a motion? Councilmember Kirk.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-18, amending the fair refuse container.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Cornett,
Yeah.
Councilmember Sullivan, Councilmember Allen,
Approve.
Councilmember Bagnow, Councilmember Kerr,
Approved.
Councilmember Martin, Mayor Riley. There are 7 votes to approve.
The next item is resolution 2025-36, a resolution of the town council of the town of Keystone, Colorado, canceling the meeting on November 25, 2025, which is Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I'll turn it over to the town manager.
Okay, give a little background. Our charter requires that council meet regularly at least once each month. And the town bylaws, which was according to the charter, set our council meetings for the second and fourth Tuesday. Town council bylaws also say town council can modify or adjust any previously approved meeting schedule for convenience to accommodate holidays, anticipated lack of quorum, or other events or circumstances. Given the speed with this council got through 6 public hearings tonight, that was pretty darn impressive. Staff is very confident that we can get any December 9th will serve us to get to any of our remaining things. We don't need to have November 25th meeting, which will be Thanksgiving week up here, which, as you all know, can be incredibly crowded and busy. And for those staff members or council members who go somewhere else to see family, can create a very tight travel schedule. If we have a Tuesday meeting, forcing you to fly out on Wednesday, good luck with that. So staff does not see this as creating an undue burden, canceling the second meeting of this month. If council wants to have it, we can always find things to fill in.
Any other questions for staff? Councilmember Kirk.
Remind us that the 2 critical decisions we have to make before the end of the year is the supplement, to approve the supplemental 2025 budget, and approve the 2026 budget. Is that correct?
And the second purchase.
Okay. All of which could be accomplished on the first December meeting.
Correct.
And would you remind me, do we not have a requirement to get the budget to the state by for 15th December?
It's
You have to approve it by December.
to approve it.
And that's one reason why this resolution only addresses the cancellation of the next meeting, not the cancellation for December 23rd. Meeting just prior to Christmas.
Yeah, and well, and actually, if we cancel this meeting and a situation arises at December 11th, our 9th meeting, we would have to have a special meeting before December 15th. Anyways, it could be done virtually, or,
That's the year's budget.
yeah, that's for the budget.
If we're running an issue on the lease, like the leases. The those which is.
Yeah.
Terms in their job. They will have basically clean the lease at that point. But then we need to work something else.
Like a special.
Either special
Or
party
the
or
company
legislative. All right, let's any further discussion. Councilmember Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve resolution 2025-36.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item is resolution 2025-37, the resolution of the town council of the town of Keystone adopting approving amendment 1 to the town manager employment agreement between the town of Keystone and John Crone. I wrote the staff summary because some of the part of the results of this came out of the decision on salary increase for the town manager in removing first two items, amendments, and then the third one, item that was not discussed, adding up to the agenda for consideration, the retention issue. The first amendment has to do with increasing the town manager's annual salary from $165,000 per year to $175,000 per year, effective January 1st. And that reflects a 6% increase in salary over his first 20 months employment with the town. The requirement for future changes to pay bonuses. This is simply decreasing the administrative time or the administrative work and then increasing salary increase. It doesn't change anything else. It doesn't change the requirement the council have to make that decision. It just lessens the administrative burden of actually making a contract change versus having an administrative change to the contract. And the third item has to do with severance pay. I noticed that the other towns in Summit County, including the Summit County manager, all have clauses in their contract that provide for 6 months severance package in the event of the town manager is discharged by the council for without cause, which means the town manager serves in the pleasure of the council, and we could terminate him tonight, and he would have no recourse, and this provides the town manager, particularly with changing councils, a semblance of a little bit of stability to be able to go forth, and in the unlikely event he were to be terminated, to have an easier landing and have an opportunity. But with that, open for discussion. Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Were there any other towns that you could find during the research that did not have a 6-month clause?
I only.
Okay. If the manager were to be let go without cause with eligible unemployment benefits.
I don't know yet. I got the attorney.
Typically you get unemployment benefits.
For termination of that policy. And would that be adjusted or changed with a second package?
I don't know. I will say that this severance package is very, very common for managers.
Thank you.
A severance package or the specific?
I mean, 6 months is very common. I think Blue River, I think Michelle had a year severance package. So it's typical. And the concern is what the mayor mentioned, that you can have a change of council. And the manager, once that change happens, it's the job.
Any other questions, comments, Councilmember Curtis?
I don't, as a general rule, believe that we should make decisions just because all the other towns do, but it is a consideration. I also think that we look to the town manager to execute our decisions, so that seems like it would be a complete way to make sure that you retain your job. But I appreciate the mayor's comment about changes in the council, not only what Attorney just identified, just also, there were such radical rifts in the council that it could make his tenure uncomfortable. Town hall seems more reasonable than I recognize.
The first two are obviously well deserved and make sense. I share some of the questions or thoughts that were previously echoed. Is this a local thing, or are we doing this just because other folks are doing it? And is it what we should be doing? Well, I'm not sure, but I do know that if we look at like some of the local reactions, I definitely noted that there was a great deal of public outcry over the amount of money that was paid to, I believe, or what had to have been paid to the superintendent of the school district. And I think there's a general feeling amongst the public of how can there possibly be so much money attached to ending at-will employment when nowhere else in society outside of kind of the municipal government does that exist. And I think that's why you get that frustration from the public. Well, you understand that. Well, I would say that my experience, business world, this high tech world, 6 months is not unreasonable. For what role? Pretty much every level, not just executives would probably do better. And would probably have better packages.
And that's my same experience with Lockheed Martin in the industry.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Hayden.
Thank you. Well, I definitely agree with some of this sentiment, and at first it was kind of a shock. I don't think that, come to realize that unfortunately not all employers are created equal. And that just because one employer doesn't want these types of things, does other employers will do types of with it. And so, well, I definitely agree with the sentiment of an at-will state. The connotation that comes with at-will being at-will. I do support the manager receiving this is one of their contract adjustments, just because of the importance of it as a retention tool, and quite frankly, I agree with the council and you don't necessarily have to follow what all the other towns do, but unfortunately, we wouldn't near that. So, for that, I think I have shifted my opinion initially to support this.
Councilmember Kirk.
And I'm gonna bounce off another comment that you made, Mayor, and that I'm not sure it's a retention tool, but it occurs to me it could be a recruitment tool in the eventuality. Somebody has to find a town manager that good. That would be a better prospect.
That would be a greatest change, so saying that. Fair enough.
Councilmember Burnett.
I would agree with, Councilman Kerr, that this is for recruitment, not a retention tool. I don't think what I do is our town manager, however, I think we'll let our town manager and not really worried about approving this. So I'm going to support it, but, I'm agreeing with the council, this is more of a recruitment tool we would probably put out if we ever unfortunately were to lose manager Crowe, don't leave. So if we're going to intend to place that in future recruitment, then why not put it now?
Well, I'll disagree with the retention definition, simply because I don't want the town manager out looking for other jobs, considering other jobs, as a result. And, this gives more certainty to him, his life, and longevity in the town. I think the average longevity of a town manager is what, 4 years, 4.5 years, something like that. I would rather, if we have a good town manager who continues to perform as he has performing, I would rather not have him looking and considering other options if they needed more. So, anyway, any other comments?
Yeah, just one question, and kind of, John, aside from this, just the position, we're talking about at will and without cause, and those over, so this council gets replaced, we get 4 new members on it, and they think the manager is not performing the way they should, right? Is that then an at cause, or is the cause?
So that's without cause.
Okay.
Cause would be malfeasance or something. I'll ask the attorney for a more precise.
Well, cause is defined in the contract, and there are specific circumstances under which if the manager were terminated for cause, then severance would not be paid. He is still, it's a contractual relationship. You know, calling it at will is probably not correct. We can modify the at will relationship with the contract.
Okay, so I guess then my question is, right, I get the with cause is does something illegal or immoral, whatever for cause. But say we have not John, but a town manager that is underperforming. Is there a 6-month severance package with that? So if you are then terminated because you're not doing what the town council needs you to do, or the people of Keystone need to do, is that then, are we paying someone 6 months for incompetence? And once again, I'm not. Yeah. So take the position, not the. Yes.
Well, it's the contract, so it's the contract that speaks to that, so the definition of cause in the contract.
And if I may weigh in when she's looking at this, this is my contract. I would recommend in the future, after I retire, that you do a similar thing with any new manager. You don't actually offer them the 6 months coming right off the bat, but you be prepared to offer it after the first review when you have an understanding of.
Right,
because
that's
And
somewhat
I think
my concern.
in fact, yours was 1 month severance,
Yeah.
and then it bumped up for 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cause is defined as violating any material term of this agreement, failing to perform the job duties stated in this agreement, Exhibit A, which is the job description. Conviction of or pleading guilty or nolo contendere to any misdemeanor, any felony, theft from the town, material misuse of assets of the town, violation of handbook, or accepting employment with or actively engaging in any other business in violation of. So if he's not performing, then that's cause. Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the three modifications to the town manager's contract. Second.
So we have a motion to approve a resolution 2025-37. And just a second. Again, is there any debate? Hearing none, I'll call the question and and all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. We're now moving on to other business. I'm assuming there are no planning matters before us.
No planning matter for our cities.
Just wanted to give a very quick update. Comp plan. A week from Thursday, we will be going to planning and zoning with the first full draft, for the consideration. I am anticipating quite a bit of input, from PNC. After that is done, I question whether or not we'll really get through it in one meeting, to be honest with you. But I will keep council posted with regards to that issue. Pushing forward, the holidays, and the extra time spent on some other items, keep my schedule a little bit off, but we're doing well. Then report the town manager staff.
Big circle at the top of my page was showing appreciation for our veterans on the town council. Thank you, Dan, for taking my thunder. But we do, we appreciate all of you. We really do appreciate it. On this day, well, on every day, but on this. Now, let's see, December, going over kind of our departments, our clerk, December 1st, our new website is. Kindred has gotten approval on all its liquor licenses. Now we're just waiting for COs on the building. It keeps looking like it's gonna happen. They are not gonna be open in time to host the holiday party.
We do the liquor licenses through the administrative process.
Yes. And community development, we just got a report on it. Next Tuesday morning, we have our destination blueprint stakeholder workshop here in council chambers.
So one question on that.
Yep.
Just because are you going to sort of move in the break in the morning when we have it?
Yes, food and lunch. And that's paid for by the Colorado Tourism Office. Yeah, but it's a state budget.
Part of our hard ones.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, right? What was that? I wasn't expecting that. So that was.
It's a marketing stakeholder meeting here. We've had surveys out. If you haven't taken them, please take them. We want everyone's input on that. Everyone out there, the interwebs, you should have gotten an email with the surveys, or you can access them on the website.
It would encourage the staff to self-adaptation really like.
And I know we had one go on yesterday or 2 days ago.
Right.
Right. We've, I'll steal a little council Curtis Thunder here, but we had, at the last transit advisory meeting, some interesting discussions about Summit Stage service, Keystone area. Don't worry, our people are well represented there. I would like to thank the county. I don't know if you've noticed in our parking lot, we have a bus stop. It's not a place for buses to stop, but it's an actual building that we will put at
Razor Drive.
Razor Drive when it's completed next year. So thank you, County Transit for that. The Mountain Energy Project, that's a PUC intervention we were involved in. PUC is making their final, announcing their final decision tomorrow morning. We don't anticipate any surprises off of that. Everyone within the settlement except the Consumer Utility Advocate, which is a state office. They wanted to see the cost pushed off just on the Mountain Energy Project music.
What?
So all the other parties still agreed with the settlement offer that got us everything we were looking for. See, we had our mayors, managers, and commission meeting. Congratulations, clerk of the year, mainly because our emergency center is now going with an AI. They did not use the word enhanced, but that's exactly what they're doing. Way to process calls into the emergency center.
Non-emergency calls.
Yeah, non-emergency calls into the center. Food assistance, we talked to the mayors and managers. The county is contributing at $200,000 to help offset SNAP cuts. And the food banks have asked the various communities to split a $5,000 a month cost. What?
5,000 a week.
I thought it was a lot.
The county is, let me give the update.
Okay, I'll let you give the update on that. They've been whittling down the child task force, but Dan, you're still stuck in it. And we had discussions about the lifespan of the dump. I have talked to Dave Rossi. He's going to be looking at the dust issue on the road leading up and down. Want to point out to anyone, CML is June 24th through 26th this year. Westminster Weston. They have not released the room block yet. I made my reservation anyways. And I've been at CML conferences at Westminster Weston. And if you don't get in that hotel, you are the other side of the interstate, quite a ways from it. Right, and the
It's a very up property.
Yeah.
If you make a reservation, the reservation will be canceled up to 24 hours, 4 hours before the start of the conference. And if they renew, when they do release the room block, you can still go and get the room block at a slightly lower rate, I'm sure. And then cancel the reservation.
June 24th to the 26th.
What's the name of the hotel again?
Westminster West.
We have a council meeting on the 24th. So, I know I made my reservation.
Actually, the 4th is Wednesday.
The
Three things. So actually, it's the 23rd to 26th.
But for us.
Okay.
Holiday party, we are to host it, feedback on this on December 19th. That's a Friday. We're probably going to contract with the conference center to provide food. And we'll either hold it at the conference center or in a room over at the Lodge and Spa. Gabby's still working out the details with the resort. Are there any issues? I would give us a trust. Okay, so you should have all received that save the date. You also should have received an email from Gabby about our medallion program. It's for the council, planning zone, and staff. I want to make something clear. Say a relative of yours comes up to visit, you can check out medallion and go skiing with a relative or your friend. It doesn't just have to be for your own person.
I mean, you are responsible.
You are completely responsible. Your friend or relative cannot sign it out. You can sign it out. See, we have upcoming open space and trails, MOU, meeting, got about that, it should be relatively easy. Painless, budget, speed limits, the ordinance, and our next meeting is December 9th.
Board of Council. Okay, well, let me start, because he, probably not go last, but he,
That's
that town manager mentioned this staff program. I'm sure both of you read the articles daily regarding staff. Some of it is accurate, some of it probably is suspect as normal. But in Southern County, we have 1,400 staff youth. 180 of them are disabled. The benefits range from $25 to $800 a month. Not even this. Some of the important. The county has funded $200,000, and that's roughly covered 45% of SNAP benefits. And this is going to be handled through grocery cards. The beneficiary comes into, I think it's over in County Commons, picks up the card. It has to show proof that they're receiving SNAP benefits, picks up cards. They were hoping the government benefits, looks like we're about to have the government shutdown ending. They're still anticipating the SNAP benefits won't be available for distribution from the government until sometime Thanksgiving later. So they're still going to be going, they'll still be issuing those cards. They have the grocery cards in hand. In addition, the county for this week has provided $6,000 food banks because they recognize that all of that beneficiaries are going to be coming in and getting cards. Food banks have already experienced extremely high demand for their services. And what they ask for is up to the towns to consider help paying $5,000, total $5,000 a week, divided among the 5 towns to help close the gap with food banks. And we would be donating directly to them or we would leave it at town manager. That's roughly for us about $1,000 a week that we would be, if we decided to participate for that. And we could use, and would be, most likely we would use nicotine tax funds to pay for that because that's a social welfare organization. So, and we have excess nicotine tax funds. So I guess the question for the council and whatnot, and is that something what they would support about that level?
How many weeks?
Again, you're talking until the government.
And do we need have it be an agenda item?
Give me a thumbs up, it's all discretionary authority.
If you like,
We could do 2 weeks and then address it at the next council meeting. So this right now,
that's the challenge we have.
Do we have a opinion on the concerns?
I have no idea.
$1,000 is pretty long, right? In the grand scheme. But what this is basically saying, that we are the same share, that we're stating it as grand norms one person. And again, it's a very small amount, but I consider, at the end of the day, $1,000 for a year or two, not use it, start supplementing the federal programs in any way, shape, or form. I'm concerned about the potential ramification. And we have the conversation that passed. Tell the federal government we can pay for it on our own. Now all of a sudden we're paying for it on our own. I just think that that is something to consider. Again, I support $1,000 for a couple of weeks per week, but I just think that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that is potential.
And we technically would not be offsetting SNAP this week, technically be making the donations to the food bank, but it's all driven by, it's all driven by the SNAP.
I hear you. I respect everything you said. Hunger's a hell of a thing. If the government turns on tomorrow and they start the wheels to process SNAP, it still won't get to our county. There was 2-3 weeks. I think that's fair. Is that what you both all read? Okay, great. Another point. We spent approximately $3,000 on those banana. So we give guidance for at least $3,000 until we can address it again in early December.
And folks to buy this.
Thoughts?
I would go, until SNAP. So maybe 3.
Yes.
Okay. With a cap to one, yeah.
Next meeting.
Next week.
But you bring it back to us what you think we just.
You propose that the town $1,000 a week to food banks until SNAP is fully funded and people have it.
Or to a cap of 5,000.
It would come forward.
Yes, motion to approve what the town manager trusts.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you for proposing.
Next, town manager did address the Charlotte and Sullivan is the rep on the child care committee, the already supports the child care activity in Southern County representatives. And it seemed logical if you object, we can always change that. We could be doing that.
I didn't get the distinction.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And you don't know, you may very well be the Southern County.
I didn't know that. You are one of two. I believe one of Brack has staff.
The town manager addressed the land. They're also dealing with new state methane rules for discharge, which potentially could drive a $10 million cost for the landfill. It has to do with how they changing how they have to have capping and release of the methane, which generated
It actually at this point could require us to hook up a natural gas line to the dump because we don't actually produce enough methane to keep a continuous flame going. The way the law reads is you are going to have to constantly be doing the burnout. So the dump doesn't produce methane to keep the constant burn.
Yeah. The county is.
U.S. government.
The county is trying to work with the state and like, Christian on this one. This is just, I think it's a.
It makes sense in the big city, though. It doesn't make any
It sounds like you said. So,
And we have a natural gas.
yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. They're. But upcoming, we have a couple of HOA events coming up. 15th Saturday, we have tennis town ones, we have both virtual. Tennis town group right now, the town manager, and I hope to attend that, and on the 19th, we have Clearwater Lost at 6 P.M. If someone else would like to attend, please let me know, and that's why I thought that you wanted the
6 p.m.
6 P.M. on the 19th.
Day. Holiday break. November.
Let me know if you're interested in participating, and then and Sullivan also has an Alders HOA meeting, and it's coming up, going to 12, on the 12th, he's going to handle.
You could pencil me in for that too.
All right.
You mean this tomorrow?
Yeah, he was planning to do it, so. That's all I have. Open to anyone else.
One real quick one, we canceled the next meeting, December one is talking with the council. A little bit of discussion, we had a really pretty poor showing at the Bureau of Council. I don't know if it was an advertising issue or, but I think we only have like two. Yeah, the council members out. So
We had one that I yelled out quite loudly to the folks around the establishment. We got another.
So, yeah, that's true.
Conversation.
Interesting, post office is one of the big issues. And you brought it up earlier.
About trucks.
The trucks, yeah. the trucks. But we do need to, we're gonna have the Monday, December 1, copy, the council, and so. That's right.
We probably don't want to cancel both first of December. Early January, which one? Second guess ourselves would be like drop one or the other.
This is the Thanksgiving.
Right. But the other one is. Yeah, is that far enough away from holiday travel that it's.
Well, I mean,
Let's, I can do it. If you can do it, we can do it, see what happens.
let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Right now, I can do it.
It'll be fresh.
Yes, as long as I'm there. Yeah,
We'll see.
so, well, we would like to. If I can.
I would say there was a note from the constituent advertising.
We didn't have the location finalized until 6 days before, and we were very pleased with Steve. So thanks for doing that, and yeah.
I think this is just because one meeting was not a success.
Right.
This has been a pretty successful program.
Canada, 4 council members.
So
What? What's it right?
Yeah, everything, yeah, everything you need.
Yes, I think the amendment there on the board.
Any other council members?
So I'll follow up on that. And town managers report the training board, yes. it's well represented and I, because they understand that we are not. And I do think that bus stop shelter, which I'm very excited about, Lindsay, is part of our ongoing efforts to provide a safer And then to the point of our citizen, Gotti, who was here last time. Summit Stage has agreed to add the West Bank stop at somewhere along the West Hills. They're committed to that, and now the onus is on us. And they both see that in Summit Stage. So that's progress. It's step by step. Thank you. Oh, that's the next thing we'll start hanging on.
That's good progress. I would point out that during our discussion with the resort GM tomorrow, we do plan to grant resorts attempt to have the Summit Stage bypassing the town and move this Summit Stage stop. It goes out to Rattler Base to Razor Drive and River Drive. We are
Hear her actually propose that. Just propose at some stage to solve the problem. I was afraid she was proposing to drop the basement stuff, so.
that. Basically. What they definitely wanted was not to have some stage drop taken to river. And for local residents who want to use some stage to go up to a basin, that would be painful. It would also lose potential business in Riverfront for people going to basin.
It is serving employees. We have employees who need to get there. We have other members who want to go to Keystone. So it's good.
And we will be continuing the discussion of the employee, a Keystone bus providing services to residents. That's all I had. Anyone else?
One of the things I'm excited for is we had a connection with some representatives from governments possibly be involved with kickoff event for the season at one of their properties, similar to a coffee with council and a meeting. Don't know what formal layout yet, but connections have been made. Some staff there, and so hopefully we can get something similar to like the HOA type of connection and get connected with some population that might be underserved to get involved or sure.
I appreciate you having contact with this. I consider it extremely important. Yeah. I don't know what to do.
Okay, I don't think I can help you out here. Do we hear town manager?
No.
I do have a question on the basin bus stop. They actually, because I'm trying to think of like the issue that they're proposing is that they're worried about people parking in River Run and using that access. So their proposal is to move the stop back. They propose a solution that allowed compatible bus routes. So because they're talking about like different buses serve a basin that would serve River Run.
We have a problem. Can you help us?
They are, this request follow a.
Request to county.
They're also. And this is. In any way wanting to run extra bus, just to pick up people at Razor Drive, good, and drive them up to the base.
No, I'm just like wondering, like, are they putting they've got the Keystone Dillon, and they've got the flyer. Are they planning on putting the Keystone, the A basin on the flyer route and having the flyer not stop at River Road? Or are they planning on putting or A basin on the Keystone route and only having the flyer? I don't understand.
I What they really wanted is, I'm not.
Because the reason I'm asking about it is it's a much bigger modification of the bus network that people are using than simply where do we pick up Murray Basin? The question is, what route is losing the river?
Yeah, at this point, it's pretty clear there will be no changes.
The transit board committed to to study it and urged Keystone Resource to take a look at and to.
Cool, thank you.
Part of our message to the GM is don't try to go around the town. If you do, you're probably we will get similar result to anything you're asking. Is that properly stated?
Yeah. Work, if you want to accomplish your goals, please work your work down.
Yeah.
Because the county. If you contact us.
That's what I meant. I can probably a little harsh. We wouldn't all automatically oppose anything they get to bypass, but if we could oppose it, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Any other business? We're taking it out.
Thank you. I know the manager and I briefly talked about this earlier, but I would just to have the public know about this, the East Keystone Road on the way towards Mountain House, as Mountain House destination is there, which opening, I should say. There is some evident road repairs that may have not been done as well as they could have been. Positive bumps. The impacts.
They're not finished.
They're not finished. So it's on the town's radar and solutions are being made to get them to a standard.
Correct. That's an Excel obligation and I have faith in Excel that worst case scenario be similar to Silver Ridge last winter. And then next summer, if that's all they can get to, then next summer will be a more polished finish. That's worst case.
Thank you.
And then, so this is actually the fourth bridge going over to.
Yes.
Yes, it's right in per review. And then the second one, I've had some conversations with our attorney to get an understanding of what this would look like. But I would ask the town staff to maybe give a proposal on what a COLA increase for the stipends for the council could look like. The underlying objective with this is that there's an opportunity cost for working folks to be involved in the council. And while this is by no means meant to be a job that can support your living out here, you're definitely choosing to forego other obligation opportunities or things to do by being here. So instead of being in a situation in 5 or 10 years where we're debating, well, the council time to debate any possible increases to be applied. A fair market at that point, I think that we should take the opportunity as a brand new town to look at what a semi-regular COLA increase would look like for the stipends to be competitive, so that come April we can have folks that are looking at possibly being involved in the town and not take as much of consideration for the financial ramifications of giving up hours that are week to be here. And my suggestion for the staff would be to look at what the inflation percentages that we are calculating the staff would do COLAs. And then also I might add that I would look at maybe a proposal for how those that may not want to take that COLA, how that could be donated to the cause such as the Summit Foundation or partners, similar to how the president sits up and it's their wages.
So ready.
Does anyone have any additional comments, I guess, for that? I know that it's kind of a move through some people.
I think we should probably look at what other town and town councils are doing in the area.
Yeah. Yeah, and then just for the record, this would not be something that would impact any of us for financial gain until there's an election.
So you guys,
Yes.
you are not up to this election.
And prior to this coming up election, I agree with Councilmember Parmentier, we need to take a look at what other towns have done as far as pay, because I believe there have been significant increases in Gillette and Frisco, just to understand how other councils are addressing the issue. But to try, again, getting members of the workforce.
I don't object to this, but I would be very uncomfortable to address this without coming back again to address some payment for the members of planning and zoning. I have no idea whether it's a good idea, bad idea, but we probably should readdress that. Going to readdress. Council.
My suggestion on that, not just like, I think that it's out of point. I think that we should, if we're gonna ask that staff to make comparison at the time obligation expectation.
Legit.
Is there or do you need to hear it and
That was great. When I was on with planning commission, I didn't even copy of this motion as fast.
I'm sure it's talking about. Right.
is there any other?
One other, please.
Yes.
In keeping with what Mr. Town Manager talked about, managers got together, decided this thing would be a structured approach to all the nonprofit requests. We have a line item for, I believe it's still $1,000 potential for council grants. I would propose that we actually craft a structured program, criteria and deadline. Generically, would you agree that this would be a good way to move forward? It's probably focusing on Keystone, I'm ahead of that, but a structured program with a deadline, and we get to look at all the. We talked about it, we didn't do it yet. Do you agree? One more thing for you to do. I see my words, okay, thank you.
We probably look for something on that for. All right, anything else? Councilmember, hang on.
Oh, I was just.
Sorry.
Teacher.
Yeah, then I didn't see your hand, so I'm looking for him. All right, given that, I think we completed all the business and the town council meeting adjourned.